Good morning, everyone. So we are going to start with our Git lab session today. Okay. So I hope everyone has a VM now. Okay, because we are going to perform the lab on the same. And once we have completed the lab, we are going to start with the Docker. That would be our topic for today. Sanjay, so you have to select yes for that to proceed further. First time it verifies the fingerprint. Anyone having any doubts, you can ask now. Otherwise, we are just going to start with the lab today.
Muted.
All right, everyone able to see my screen now? All right, so let's start now. Okay, so let's take a sudo, okay, because we are going to install the Git first of all. So Git can only be installed by the root user, okay. And even before that, let's set up a host name so that we can identify we are working on a machine that has Git installed. So I will quickly do hostname ctl set hyphen hostname Git. Okay, this will set your hostname. Just run the bash and it will change the hostname. So you see Git is there. Okay, All right, so that's for setting up the Git. Okay. Next, very first thing that you need to do is you need to install the Git. Okay. Now, Git is shipped with all the distributions of Linux. Okay. So you can use the package manager to install the Git. Bala, we have created a CentOS VM, so we are using that terminal. CentOS 7.5 that we discussed in the Vagrant session. Okay. All right. So for installing Git, just run yum install Git. Okay. That will install the Git on your system. So it will automatically resolve all the dependencies for installing Git. Okay. So Git is having the Perl dependencies. So it requires the Perl in the backend. It has been written in Perl. Okay. So it's installing the Perl and the rsync command and the Git. Okay. These are basically the dependencies for installing the Git. Just press yes. It will automatically resolve the dependencies and install the Git on your system. Sanjay, it was hostname ctl set hyphen hostname. This was the command. This was for setting, checking your hostname, so it's visible. And for installing Git, use yum. Okay. So this is how you can install the Git. Now, after installing Git, the very first thing that you need to do is you will have to set your username and user email so that anyone working in your team is able to identify what commits you have made and can contact you over the mail. Okay, so this is very first thing. Now we are not going to run the Git from the root user because we have installed the Git and that's what we required the root for. Okay, so I'm going to switch to Vagrant user. Okay, we are already having a Vagrant user, so I have switched to Vagrant user. Bala, we are executing this commands on the Linux command prompt. This is a Linux command prompt, not a Windows one. Okay, we are inside the virtual machine in the putty. All right, so you can switch to the Vagrant user. This is the user we are going to use to configure the Git. Okay, so uh, because we are mostly dealing with the automation. Okay, so let's create a folder. Okay, of automation. Okay, this will be our repository name, and everything that we are doing will go inside this repository. Okay, so let's get inside this folder. Okay, guys, I am typing you the commands in the command window. Okay, since we are having a, like, if someone is struck, I can help that out. Okay, otherwise till now we haven't done anything significant. We have just installed the Git using one command. Okay, Bala, where are you stuck right now? Sanjay, I have shared the command above. Please use those command. Okay. Don't type HTTP. I haven't shared that. Nupur, sorry, I can't repeat that. Vagrant we have already covered in the last session. Okay. So I'm not going to repeat like how to install the Vagrant because that's we already completed. Okay. You are having a recording for that. Use that recording to revisit how to install the Vagrant and reuse the Vagrant for creating a machine. We have already done that and we are having a recording in the LMS portal. Okay. Hostname CTL. No, Vishal, you are not doing it correct. I haven't specified HTTP. Guys, where are you copying that from? This is the command. I have shared it in the chat window. Kindly use the command from here. This is not okay. Seems it is adding HTTP itself. Okay. Don't use this HTTP. Okay. Use hostname CTL. Let me show you the command in the window. Okay. So the command is hostname CTL set hyphen hostname. Okay. Get dot unix cloud fusion dot in. Use this. Don't put this in front. Okay. This is wrong. Okay. I'm not sure. I haven't put that, but somehow go to training automatically added that. Okay. So it's this command. Execute this to set up the hostname. Everyone who is getting an issue while setting up the hostname, how it is showing on CMD. Nupur, we are not executing on the CMD. All these commands are executed inside the virtual machine that we have created, CentOS virtual machine. We have connected it through PuTTY and we are executing the command over there. Bala, you're doing it wrong again. Did you see what I have written? I have written hostname CTL. You haven't put the hostname CTL command over there. You are directly running set hyphen hostname. That's why it's giving you an error. Hostname CTL command not found shown as which or version of operating system you are running, Samiksha? This is CentOS 7.5. Nupur for install, no, you don't have to be in any specific folder. Just run yum install git and that will install the git. Samiksha, which operating system you are running? Yeah, please check. Do this. Cat etc Red Hat release. This is the way of checking which operating system you are running. Abhilash, have you joined late? Guys, I will ask everyone to join on time. Okay. See if already like it's 17 minutes that we have loosed out in our session, and if I keep repeating the same commands again and again, we are not going to complete anything. So I will ask everyone to kindly repeat or kindly join on time. Otherwise, I have to keep on repeating same thing again and again. I'm doing this last time, okay? But anyone who is joining late, I won't be repeating anything again. It's your responsibility to join on time. Remove this HTTP. I think there's some problem with this. Run this, not this, run this command. I'm putting it inside the colon so that it doesn't automatically add HTTP to it. Somehow it's still adding. See, copy the command I have shown in the windows, okay? Uh, like this on my screen, okay? Then run bash, then run yum install git, okay? These are the commands that needs to be run. Hostname CTL command use what I have, what's on my windows, okay? And remove this colon C. Guys, let me do one thing because this is creating confusion somehow. So very first command that you need to run is hostname CTL set hyphen hostname git. Okay, this will set up your hostname. Then you need to run bash to change your hostname. Okay, then yum install git to install the git on your system. These are the commands we have run till now. Okay. Samiksha, it's set hyphen hostname, not set hostname. Samiksha, you don't have to run CentOS 6.8. I'm not sure why you installed CentOS 6.8 because there is a huge difference. CentOS 6.8 is still running on the init. If you, we are going to use the systemctl command, okay, then all the things might not work for you. Most of the things. CentOS 6.8 is an old version. Everyone, I would suggest you to create a same environment. Otherwise, what happens is you will stuck in the operating system commands only. Although there is not much change, but still you will be stuck in the commands. Some of the things you are not able to find and things like that. Okay. So always run the latest command unless and until you have quite a familiarity with the operating system commands. Samiksha, in your case, okay, you can directly run this command. Because you are on CentOS 6.8, just run hostname and run bash. Okay, this is only for Samiksha who is running CentOS 6.8. Okay, uh, rest everyone kindly use these commands. Okay. Yes, Sanjay, you have to select yes. Nupur, your internet is not working. If you are not able to resolve the host, your internet is not working. Somehow the virtual machine is not able to connect to that host. Okay. All right, so guys, let's move ahead now. I will be typing all the commands here so that you can have a look on or to them. Okay. All right, now once you have created the Git, okay, exit out of the Git to the sorry, do one thing, switch to the Vagrant user. Okay. So next thing is you have to switch to the Vagrant user. So you do su hyphen Vagrant, that will shift you to the Vagrant user. Then create a directory mkdir automation. This is where we are going to create our entire code base that we are going to manage through Git. Okay. And then go inside automation directory that you have created. These are the commands that you have to run. Okay. I would suggest before you can take a screenshot of this within the GoToMeeting so that you remember what you have to run. Okay, everyone is having a screenshot command. Just take a screenshot so that there is no issues regarding what we have run. Okay. All right. So I'm here. If I show you, I have already created the automation directory. Here it is. So I will just move inside the automation directory. Okay. Is everyone good till here? Should I move ahead? These are the commands we have run till now. The very next thing that you need to do is you need to run git init command. Okay, that would initialize the git in this repository. So whatever you are doing inside the repository, where any file folder that you are creating, okay, that would be tracked by the git for any changes that you are doing. Okay, so run the git init command, okay, inside the repository to initialize the git inside the repository. Okay, Samiksha, are you on root user or are you on vagrant user? That's why you are seeing this. Okay, do from the root user and it will not ask you for the password. Not seeing the vagrant. Guys, vagrant is a vagrant user, right? It's created by default. Bala, are you running the vagrant VM or some other VM? If you are running somewhere else, you will not have the vagrant user. So there must be a vagrant user, right? How have you logged inside the vagrant machine without vagrant user? Yes, this is the command. So guys, I'm moving ahead now. Okay. Right now I'm inside my automation directory. Okay. So I'm going to run git init command. I have created this freshly, Shailesh. Okay. So it's up to you. You can use the same VM as well. The initially that we created in the vagrant setup. But my way of working is like I create topic wise all the VMs. Okay. All right, so I'm going to run git init command. This will initialize the git directory. So whenever you initialize the git, okay, git basically creates a hidden directory. Any directory which starts with dot, okay, represents a hidden directory. So if I run ls-ltr, you won't see the hidden directory, okay. But if I run ls-ltra command, you will see the hidden directory is there, okay. See, here is the command window. Just take a screenshot for that, all the commands that I am showing you. Okay. So after this, you can run ls-ltr. That will not show you the directories. After that, you can run ls-ltra. That will show you the hidden directory. Okay. Now let's go inside the hidden directory .git. So just for your understanding, what happens? See, whatever things that you are doing inside the git, whatever like files you are creating, whatever commits you are creating, okay, anything that you are doing inside the git is basically stored inside this hidden directory. Okay, so everything is actively getting tracked inside this hidden directory. Okay, this is how git is able to keep all the information to itself. Okay, now how does it keeps, what does it do in the backend? That's not something that you have to look in. This is just for your understanding that whenever you run the git init, it creates a hidden directory. All the changes that you are doing, all the commit information, everything goes inside this directory. Okay. So let's move out of this directory. Okay. So 10th, you can move inside .git directory, and 11th command is you can move out of the git directory. Okay. This is what we have done till now. Everyone has taken a screenshot? Okay. So right now we are inside our working directory now. Okay. This is our working directory. So we are going to create all this code and all that stuff here. Okay. Now, very first thing that you have to do after installing the Git is configure your username and your user email. So you need to run git config, okay, hyphen global user dot name, okay, and provide your username over here. Okay, so I will say Ankit. Okay, similarly, you will have to configure your email as well so that everyone is aware about how to reach out to you. So user dot email, okay, and your email. Okay, so mine is like this. Okay, Bala, can you share me what's the output you are getting when you run the switch user su hyphen vagrant? What output you are getting? Complete everything, copy everything, guys. Practice on these sessions more and more. Okay, otherwise you won't be able to progress in the further sessions. By now I think everyone should have been very used to the vagrant and the VM machine part, but I'm still seeing that a lot of people are facing issues, and this is due to the lack of practice. Okay, I will say try to create different machines, run over them so that you have a detailed understanding of how to use them. Okay, you are not putting a space between a hyphen and vagrant. You see the command that I have put, there is a space between them. You have to put su hyphen then space and then vagrant. And don't run automation here because it will change your home directory. Okay, right, let me increase the font size here. Not sure. Okay, is it fine to everyone now? uh Bala, did it work for you? Su hyphen space then again space and then vagrant. Are you able to switch to vagrant now? Okay, then create an automation directory because directory will change. Okay, and then move inside that. You will have to create mkdir automation again and cd automation and git init command. Okay, all right, so let's run this commands now. Okay, okay, so I have created the git config and user.email as well. Okay, So this is how you set up your user email and the name. Okay. Now, if you want to see what username and email has been set, so you can run git config hyphen list command. So it will show you all the information that is being used by the git. So you see user email and user uh, name is being used, what we have initially set up. Okay, so this is how you can list the config for git. If you haven't set this, okay, user email and username, git will not allow you to move ahead. It will not allow you to commit anything unless and until you set up your username and user email. So you can run git config hyphen list. Okay, all right. You can again set that. Abhilash, you can run the name again and change your username and email. Okay. All right. So now the time is to create the files. Okay. So let's say we are inside our directory. So we can start working on our code. So we can create something like readme.txt. Okay. So I have created a file readme.txt. That's something which holds about what this repository is all about. Okay, go ahead and paste any of the content inside this file. Then we are going to create an index.html file. Okay, and then we are going to copy the content inside index.html file. Okay, so everyone just take a snapshot of this. Let's move ahead. So we have created the readme.txt file. Okay, let's open this and put in some content over here. So this is our Nupur CentOS link we already shared in the when we initially done the Vagrant lab. So you can copy from there. Okay, we installed 7.5, so you can use that lab to create CentOS 7.5 PM later. Okay, for now you can work on 6.8 only. It's almost same. Okay, now uh, this is our automation repository. See, you have to put just some of the understanding about what this repository is all about. Okay, that's it. See, normally this would be some code trying to explain what we are exactly doing. Okay, but here we are just using the pseudo code. Okay, because we are not into the coding and stuff like that, so we are just creating some files and we are trying to learn how the git actually tracks them. This session is not about the coding part. Okay, so create this readme file. Okay, and then we are going to see how git tracks it. So Nupur, what's happening is, although you are having a CentOS 6.8 running, you are trying to query the data of CentOS 7.5, I believe. That's why it's not able to resolve the mirror site. Okay, and it's giving an error. This is an internet related issue, or your repository has corrupted. Okay, guys, don't copy the content from notepad, just take a snapshot. That will be much more quicker. Okay, otherwise we will be stuck at one point only and not able to complete the lab part. Okay, that is for saving and quitting of a file, because we are using the vi editor. Sanjay, that's why we are using wq colon wq, that is to write and quit the file editor. All right, let's move ahead. So save this. So this will save your readme.txt file. So if I show you, here is the content for readme.txt file. Okay, and then go ahead and edit your create a index.html file. That's a first file that is being read by the browser. Okay, so you can put any content inside this. Let's save this file again. Okay, this is our pseudocode. We are not actually writing the entire HTML file over here, though you are free to write it if you want. But this is normally how you are going to create a code and then track that code and write, commit that out. So you will create all these libraries, find binaries, and then call those files and things like that. Okay, this is how you are going to basically code, or you are going to even create a configuration. In our case, we are going to create a configuration. That's why we are learning the Git. Okay, so at this point, the files have been created. Okay, so let's see how the Git tracks them. You can run git status command at this point. So it will, you see, you are on your working directory right now, and nothing has been moved to the staging area. So Git basically says that there is an untracked files which are present. Here is your readme.txt and index.html files. Sanjay, the command that you have saved me, press escape and then use colon WQ to save the file. First you have to press escape and then colon WQ. Okay. So here we are. It shows us the untracked file. Right now we are in our working directory. Bala, if you will see, uh, I have run the touch command first and then I have done vi. So you have to run the touch command first and then do the vi. Why are you doing the vi first and then doing the touch command? Hari, if you have saved the file, okay, can you cat that file? Okay, 17th. Bala, did you save the file? After this, guys, you have, if you want to come out of readme.txt file, first you have to press escape on your folder, on your keyboard, okay, and then run colon WQ and exclamation mark like that, okay. Then you will be able to uh, escape, write everything inside the vi editor, okay, and press enter. This is how you escape the vi editor. Save the file, okay. Hari, if you have Git is saying nothing to commit, see, you are not getting this message, Hari. If in case you are not getting this message, then your file hasn't been saved. You have to try this out. Cat index.html. You will not see this content in your file. Can you show me the output of this command, cat index.html? Yeah, try saving again, guys. Okay, this is how you save the file. Okay, so we are at this point, git status. Okay, so here is our files. It's right now we are in our working directory. So if we want to move to our staging directory, Okay, then we will have to run the git add command. So what we can do is we can run git add readme.txt. Okay, this will move the file from working directory to the staging directory. And if we again run the git status command, you will see that it's showing that git is able to track it and the file is ready to commit. So this file is in staging right now, staging area, and this file is in your working directory. This is what we mean if you remember that architecture that we discussed during the time of git lab. Okay, so this file is in staging area. This is right now in the working directory, and once we commit this, it will move to the local repository. Okay, if you remember that architecture diagram. Now, if you are having the multiple files to be added inside the staging area, then you don't have to put every time the file name. So what you can do is you can run git add and a dot over there. So it will move your working untracked files from your working repository to the staging area. Nupur, somehow your yum repository is corrupted. That's why it's not allowing you to update that. Okay. So I would suggest instead of troubleshooting this out, you should create a new directory. You should create a new virtual machine. This is corrupted right now. I'm not sure how the yum command was run and or what else was done. This repository is corrupted. Just create a new VM using the Vagrant and follow the steps over there. And create a CentOS 7.5. Okay, that way you will be having much less errors. All right, so I have added the file to the staging area, and if I run the git status now, you will see that both the files have been moved to the staging area. Okay, so we are here now. 19th command is to run the git status. Okay, if you want to add the file one by one, then you can use git add command. You can run git add readme.txt. Okay, that way it will add only one file. Okay, then you can again run the git status command to check what's the status of your file, whether it's in working directory or it's in your staging directory. Okay, staging area. Then if you want to add all the file from the working directory into the staging area, that is your code has been completed and you want to commit everything, then you can run git add dot. Okay, that will move all the files from your working directory into the staging area. Okay, and then you can run git status again. So this is the command that you have to run. Okay, Bala, I said press escape key, not type the escape keyword. Okay, see, this is an escape key you have to press first before writing this. So let me show you. You have to do this. Once you open index.html file, press I to go into the insert mode. Okay, now you can type anything. Then if you want to get out of this insert mode, press escape. Just press escape key. Don't type escape over here. Okay, once you press the escape key, that insert mode will go away. Then press colon WQ and exclamation mark. Okay, this will allow you to save the file and quit the file. So once you press enter now, it will save the file and quit the file. I hope this is clear to everyone. Okay, and this is the command that we have run. Yeah, I think Unix class is also the guy. Uh, okay, so let's move ahead now. Anyone still having any issues? Do let me know, guys, because we are moving. Then we will move ahead. All right, so let's move ahead now. We are going to commit the files now. Okay, for committing a file, you should use git commit command. Okay, now you can commit the file without passing the message. In that case, it will open an editor for you. You will have to put the comment and then save the file again, like we did, colon wq and exclamation mark. Or you can directly provide the comment here only by using -m flag and your comment, whatever comment that you want to put. Okay, so let me show you. You can run git commit -m and just put the comment over here. Like, the comment should be meaningful, like added the readme and index.html file. Okay, so it will commit the file, and once you do the commit, it will show you uh, how many files has been changed. Okay, how many insertions were there, what is the permission, and what all files were changed, committed inside. Okay, and it also provides you with a commit id. This is the commit id 6a 6e 888. Okay, okay, so this is how you will add a commit in your working directory. All right. Next thing is, whenever we are working with a code, okay, and you are editing a file, and then you want to see, like, what changes did you do, because there will be a number of files that you are editing, and it can be like hundreds or thousands of lines of code, and you don't remember what things you added. So let's edit our index.html file again. Okay, this is our edited code. Okay, so we are just changing one line. Think of it like we are changing our code. Okay, let's say we change our code now and just save this. Okay, at this point, if you want to see what's a difference between what changes did you apply to this file, you somehow don't know, you before committing or moving to the staging area, you want to see what is the difference between your file and the stage file, that is what changes were introduced into the file. So you can run git diff command. Okay, and it whether you run like this or whether you run like this index.html, it both means the same. So if you will see, it shows you that this plus sign, this, okay, basically indicates that this line was edited. Okay, this is how you can run a diff between your files, and it will show you what lines were edited inside the file. Okay, now, and if you run the git status again, it will show you there is a new file which has been modified. Okay, it's basically a modified file. It's not a new file, it's a modified file. It was already inside the git and you modified it codes. Okay, then you can run git add index.html again, and you can commit this. Okay, you can say something like modified index.html file and commit the file. Okay, clear to everyone? So what you can do is you can add it index.html file, add a new comment, then you can run git diff command to check what things you added inside the index.html. So it will show you what code, what's the difference between the code that you have done. Okay, once you have reviewed that, you can run git add index.html file, and then you can run git commit -m and the message edited the index, like that. Okay, So these are the commands we have run till now. If you are having a multiple files to be added, okay, at the same time, so you are not going to run git commit -m on each file every time. So you can directly pass a -a flag as well, okay, if you are having a multiple files. Nupur, Vagrant is already installed on your VM on your laptop in last time. So you just need to create another VM. That's it. Nothing else. And because we are already in the middle of session, so I would suggest you to concentrate on the session for now. Okay. What you can do is we are going to provide you with a recording session. So you can have a look at the recording at a later point in time and then repeat all these steps. Okay. Everything will be inside the recording so you can perform the lab later. And if you are stuck at some point, you can send me a mail. I will reply back. Okay. So you can send a mail to Cognitia support. They will redirect it to me. All right. So at this point, we see how we can commit a file. Okay. Now let's go back and let's create a file called remove_me.txt. Let's say this is some file that you created accidentally and now you don't want this anymore. Okay, so I can run git add remove_me.txt to staging area, but at this point I realize, okay, that I no longer need this remove.txt in my code. Okay, so what I can do is, because I don't need this feature or this code anymore inside my repository, so I can simply remove through Linux command line. So I can run rm remove me.txt. Okay. Now, if I remove this file, what happens? Does it get removed from the Git? No, Git will not remove it because Git is tracking this file. So for Git, this is another version. Okay, like if I run git status command, you will see. So what it says is that you were having a file called remove_me.txt and you deleted it, but git is still having its reference. Okay, you see remove_me.txt is a new file and you have also deleted it. So git knows that you previously created a file and you have removed it, but it's keeping both the versions for now. So if you want to remove it from your repository as well, okay, so you can run git rm remove me.txt. Okay, this will remove the remove.txt file from the git as well. Just run this command. So it says rm remove me.txt. So it has removed the file now. If you run git status, you will see that there is nothing to be uh, nothing to show, right? It has deleted from the git. Okay, so this is how you can use the git rm command. So you can run touch remove.txt. This will create a file. You can move it to staging area. Okay, then you can run git status to verify. Then you can remove the file locally from your code. Okay, but it will not remove from the git. So you can remove it like git rm remove.txt. Okay, and this time if you run git status command, it will show you that it has been removed from the staging area as well. Okay, everyone clear till now? Anyone having any issues still here? Should I move ahead? Sanjay, is this speed more looking more to you? because this is like very basics of Git we are doing right now. We are just adding some files, committing the files, and nothing else. All right. Anyone, if someone is looking the speed looks higher on the higher side. Okay, I would suggest you to, you can perform the laps later as well. Just pause and play the video again. Okay, it might be that you need some more time to look into what exactly we are doing. Okay, but then we have to like cover the theory and the labs as well. Okay, and obviously we have to cover a lot of things in the lab. Okay, so we are trying to take the maximum time for the labs, but then there are topics that we have to cover as well, so we need to have some speed, right? Otherwise what will happen is you will be stuck with the Git itself. You won't be able to perform these labs and all. Okay, so I'm trying my best, but if you find the speed is on little higher side, I would suggest you to perform the labs later as well, because we are recording the entire session for you. Okay, and if you are stuck at some point, you can raise your doubts at any time, and we will be happy to help. But this will be our normal speed whenever we are doing any sessions. All right, so next comes, we have already done this in the theory part. I'm not doing anything exclusive right now. We have already discussed all these commands previously in the theory, that lab that we have, when we were discussing the Git. At that point, we already have gone through all these commands. We are just doing it practically now. All right, let's create the let's see how we can ignore the files now. So what happens whenever you are doing any of the code, there are binaries being generated. Okay, now whenever you run some code, like in case of Python, it creates pyc file. In case of Java, you are having class files. And even when you are working with Puppet or any of the configuration management tool like Ansible, then there are sometimes files that you don't want to commit inside your repository. Okay, so what you can do is, let's create a file called, okay, binary dot class. Okay, and let's create one more file called abc.class. Okay, so what are these? These are basically the class files in like Java, which are binaries in nature. Okay, now you only commit the configuration file or your code inside the Git repository. You don't commit the binary files. Okay, but if I run git status now, you will see that Git is tracking these files as well. Why? Because Git tracks all the type of the files that are inside your repository. Okay, Git doesn't know that these are the binary file and not your log, like your uh, txt file in which you are writing your code. Okay, but you don't commit the binaries inside your code. Okay, so what you can do is, you can create a git ignore file. A git ignore file will, you can use the regex to combine with the files and ignore any type of files that you want. Okay, so if you will see, when I run the git status, Git is right now tracking both of these files. Okay, abc.class and binary.class. So what I can do is, I can create a git ignore file. So I will create this dot git ignore file. Okay, if you will go through this git ignore file, you will you can put something like star. Star means all the files which end in dot class extension. So what we are effectively saying, that any of the files which ends in class extension, okay, just ignore them. So what Git will do is Git will ignore all the files which end in dot class extension. Okay, so just save this. Okay, and if I show you what's the content of git ignore, so we are ignoring all the files which end in dot class. Okay, and if I run the git status now, what should happen? It will not show these files abc.class or binary.class. It's ignoring them. Okay, so they will never get committed inside your repository. Rather, it will show you that you have added a git ignore file. So if I run git status, you see it doesn't show me abc.class or binary.class are there. It's just showing me that there is a git ignore file that you have created. Okay, so you will see this is a very common file which you will find in most of the repositories out there. So everyone uses it to ignore some kinds of file that they don't want inside their code. Okay, so here what you can do is you can create abc dot class. You can uh, sorry, this is 35, this is 36. Also you can create binary dot class file. Okay, then go ahead inside, create a dot git ignore file. Inside that you can put any of the files that you want to ignore. Run the git status command again. Then you can add the git ignore file to the staging area, and finally you can commit that as well. So you can commit the git ignore file. So you can say something like added the git ignore file. So these are all the commands that you have to run. Okay, so if you will see, we have added the git ignore file. Let's commit this out, and we can say added the git ignore file. Okay, so it provides us with a commit ID. And if I run the git status now, you will see nothing is there to commit. Okay, so our code base is clean now. Anyone having any doubts still here? Anyone having any doubts? Yeah, Ablash, tell me. Okay, so I can see still. You are saying that even after creating dot git ignore file, can you show me what's the content of your git ignore file? Just do a cat and dot git ignore. Just run cat and dot git ignore and show me the output, like what output you are. Abhilash, run this cat dot git ignore. Bala, Git is not a UI tool. Okay, it doesn't have any UI, so you can't see anything inside the UI. We are going to cover the GitHub shortly, but Abhilash, there are extra spaces which is coming. Can you remove those spaces? I believe there you have pressed enter inside your file. Okay, that's why it's not showing. It should look like this only. Okay, you can put any of the extension. You can put like you if there are images, you can put something like star.png. Then it will not show any of the png image or jpg image or things like that. Any of the file extension that you want to ignore, you can ignore like that. Okay, can you try removing that extra enters inside the file and try again? No, Tulsiram, we are actually ignoring these files, so you don't have to commit those. Like if you will see here, we created the files, but we added them inside the star.class. So what it's doing is it's ignoring abc.class and binary.class. It will never commit them inside the repository. Okay, so it's working for Abhilash now. Anyone else having any issue? So, Sujit, if you are having different file with different extension, then you will have to put all those extension or all those names of the file inside the git ignore, and then git will ignore everything. Okay. So, like in our case, we were having multiple files. So we use the rejects, right? Now you can go through the rejects part. Okay. That's somewhat of a coding, or if you don't know rejects, then you can simply copy the file names and put inside git ignore, then git will ignore all those files. So if you don't want to use star.class, what I could have done, I could have simply copied the name of abc.class or binary.class like that. Okay, that will also work. Any other question, anyone? All right, so let's move ahead. Okay, till now we have done a lot of things. Okay, but we don't exactly, let's say, remember what all things we have done till now, what all commits we have added, and things like that. So what we can do is, if we want to check what we have done till now, we can run a command like git log. Okay, git log will show a log of everything that we have done till now, any file that we have added, any file that we have committed, or getting know that we committed like that. So let's run, let me clear the screen, let's run git log over here. So it will print the entire log. Okay, you see here is the log of everything. So what it says is that at this time, okay, this user has generated a commit id of here. Okay, and this was the commit. So it basically shows that we added the git ignore with this commit id. Okay, was added by Ankit at this day and time. Okay, this is how you can review what user has done, like what changes inside the repository. Okay, similarly, it shows me that we modified the index.html file, we added the readme.index.html file. Okay, this is how you can check the log. Like it once you multiple users are working and you combine all these log, then it will show you what user has done what, right? So which commit was introduced by which user, and then it will also show you the message of the commit. Okay, so you can track everything. Okay, another thing, uh, see, right now it's giving you a lot of information, like it's showing you commit id and everything, but that might be or might not be of your use. So if you just want to see like the commit id and the commit message, so what you can run git log hyphen hyphen one line. Okay, then it will show you entire log in one line only. Okay, like this. So it will show you only commit id. This is the commit id, you see, this is the commit id. Here is the commit id, and it shows you the comment. So you will see only commit ID and the commit. If there are a lot of commits inside your repository, okay, and you are seeing this huge log file, then you can use this command to shorten those. And then finally there is like you can even decorate and create graphs around it like more. Okay, so you can run this command further. So you see it basically showing that these were added on the right now your head is here, you modified this and things like that. Okay, so you can run this command git log. Okay, you can print everything in one line, or you can even uh, create graphs around it and decorate it more depending upon what you exactly want to troubleshoot inside your log. Okay, so that's why the git log command is being used. All right, up till now we saw how we can put these commits and everything. Okay, now let's say till here uh, our code has been generated and we want to release it into the production. Now we don't want to remember these commit IDs. Okay, you see it's just a random number and it's a very big number, right? No one wants to remember the commit IDs that we have done till now and this and that. Okay, so instead what we can do is we can put a tags to remember the things like what exactly we have done till here. Okay, so let's put the commits. So we can say git tag to add a tag here. So let's say we are putting v1 tag saying this is our version 1 of the code. Okay, so we can put a tags like this and we can say a comment. Okay, and message will be this is our version 1 to be released, like that. Okay, explaining what this version 1 means. Okay, and you can put this, and to view all the tags you can run git tag. It will show you all the tags which are available inside your repository. Okay, no Sanjay, it will not work like that. Dot class doesn't mean star dot class. Okay, star is the regex. You can, if you want to go more into the regex, you can go through it. Okay, it's basically a combination to achieve that's somewhat like a coding. Okay, if you don't want to put star dot class, you can simply copy the file names and put inside git ignore, then it will ignore those files. Okay, so you see we added the tag now. Okay, now it's possible that we added the tag at this point after these commits, but let's say we want to add the tag to this one, the old commit. So we can even add a tag to our old commit. Okay, so we can say something like git tag. At that time we just started, so we can put a version like 0.1 and put a comment saying initial uh, version starting to code, like that. Okay, and if I run the git tag again, you will see multiple tags which are there. Okay, another thing is we have created the tag, but what about if we want to see what that tag holds? So you can do git show and the tag name where you wanted to show the commit. Okay, if I run this, this is showing that till version 1. Okay, what this tag is about. Okay, and the commit ID, this is the commit ID. So if you will see uh, the log, you will see the commits done till here. Okay, so if I run hyphen hyphen one line. Okay, you see that it's showing this is the last commit, so we can track the all the commits behind this tag. Okay, so it basically tells us, like, if we wanted to go to the version 1, then all the commits that have been done till el e15 e1d5 e62. Okay, we need this to release our version 1. Then similarly we can create version 2, then we can create version 3, and like that. Okay, so git tag is clear to everyone, how we can put on the tags and how we can see what all commits lies inside our tag. This is just for your understanding that you don't want to remember this tag. This is a complex, remembering this commit ID would be more complex. So instead of that, we put a tag called v1, and then we say that this is our v1 of v1 version 1 of our code, like that. Okay. Tags clear to everyone? Should we move to the GitHub now? So, Abhilash, seems you created a zero point 0.1 tag without providing any commit ID. All right. So, one thing is v1 unknown version. Can you run git tag, Abhilash? Just run git tag. It's showing me v1 like this. Okay. Can you run this command and show me what tags are showing it in your commit? And one more thing, guys. Okay. So Abhilash, what you have done is you have put the capital V and you are trying to show small v1. Okay. So just do git show capital V1. I think that's why you are getting that error. Can you try doing it? Git show capital V1 and see if it's still giving an error. And one more thing, guys, I have done one thing wrong over here. Is the zero point 0.1 version that we were creating, we will have to actually provide the commit ID. So what we can do is we will have to provide a commit ID over here. So let's say this is our first commit. Okay, so we can provide a commit ID over here. So just put a commit ID, okay, like that, and press enter. Now you will see that if I run git show, okay, version 0.2, I forgot to put the commit ID, then it will just take us back to that commit ID. This is our index file. You see, this is the very first commit that I have done. So it has taken us back into that commit ID. Here is the commit ID. Okay, the very first commit. So I can put commits on the any of the commits that I like. So I can put a tag on any of the commits inside, whether I have done till now or whether it was done previously. So I can put a tag on any of the commits in my repository. So it's working for you, right, Abhilash, now? Okay. Okay, and Sujit has a question. If I want to delete a tag, how do I delete a tag? Okay, so if you, let's say we are having three tags right now. Okay, there is version 0.1, 0.2, and 0. And v1. We created this version wrong because we forgot to put the commit ID, right? So if you want to delete this one, so you can run git tag -d is for deleting a tag and version 0.1. Okay, so it says deleted the tag version 0.1. You can verify it running git tag again. So you will see version 1 and version 0.2. Okay, so if you put some wrong tag, you can delete it like that. Okay, so here is a history. Let me copy this, that. So So everyone, I have created this file for you. If anyone wants to replicate this, just execute these commands. Okay. Next, we are going to start with the GitHub. Okay. So anyone having any difficulties still here, do let me know. Otherwise, we are going to start with the GitHub now. Okay. All right. So let's start with the GitHub now. So GitHub is your remote repository, which allows you to uh, push your code to a remote repository so multiple people can collaborate. So you can go to the github.com. Okay, when you go to the github.com, it will ask you to sign up over there. So very first time that you go to the GitHub, it asks you for sign up. So you can click on sign up and then provide your username, email address, and password. Okay, to verify the account, and you can create any type of repository, whether you want a private repository or a public repository. There is no issues. Okay, so go ahead, sign up over here. It will create a free account for you. Once you have signed up, I have already signed up. Okay, and I have logged inside my repository. Okay, so I can move ahead and I can create a repository for me. So I can directly click on new. Okay, and it's asking me for the repository name, so I will just provide it automation because this is where what our repository is about. Okay, so it's saying automation already exists, so let's say this is automation lab -lab. Okay, and you can provide a description saying this repository is used for lab demo. Okay, this is what we are doing now. It provides us with the two options, whether we can create a public repository or we can create a private repository. So you can create any of these repositories now. Okay, now if you create a public repository, it will be that anyone can see your code. Okay, this is normally used by the open source project, where people are collaborating from different nations to create an open source offering. Okay, and you can create a private repository, in which case only the user which you allow the permission, or the yourself would be able to see that code, and no one else can view your code. Okay, so you need a login with your username and password to see the code, to make it work. Okay, so it's up to you what type of repository you want to create. You are free to create any public repository or the private repository. So let's create a public repository for now. Okay, and for creating a repository, just click on create repository. Okay, this will create the automation lab repository, and then it provides us with a certain commands that we can run to set up the origin and all. Now before doing this, okay, let's duplicate this, and we need to authenticate the GitHub. Now whenever you are working on your local, okay, machine, then you need to tell you need GitHub needs some mechanism to identify that it's you only who is logging into this account. Okay, that's for the security. So what you are having two ways. One is HTTPS. So in that way it will look out for the username and password of your user. You can authenticate GitHub like that, but that would be very cumbersome, right? Because we are adding multiple commits and day in and day out, and then every time we will have to put on this username and password, which is not a very effective way, right? According to me, it's not a very effective way that I have to type every time my username and password like that. Okay, so what I can do is I can add an SSH key. Okay, it's a 256-bit encryption that it uses. It's the same way how your SSH is getting authenticated on the VM using a public private key. So what you can do is you can click on this icon on the top right, okay, and go under the settings of your GitHub. Okay, uh, go under the settings. Here you will see an option of SSH and GPG keys. So you can click on that to add an SSH and GPG keys. Okay, let me delete this one, and I can add a new SSH key. Okay, now it provides me with the two things. One is title and another one is the key. Okay, so I can say this is used for Git demonstration. Okay, another thing, I want to copy the key over here. So how do you get a key? See, go back to your uh, machine, okay, and run ssh hyphen keygen hyphen t rsa. So what it's going to do is we are creating a public and a private key. Okay, so using this command, it will ask you to enter the file. Press enter, again enter, enter. So this creates a key for us. Okay, you can go inside the user home directory, cat vagrant dot ssh id underscore rsa dot pub. Okay, so pub means the public file, and there is one more file, id underscore rsa, which is generated, which is your private key file. So you can copy this public key file, you can cat this and copy this key file inside your repository over here. This name is basically used to identify what this key belongs to. Okay, so if I later in the time, if I see this file, key file, I will remember that this key was being used during the Git demonstration. If you are having multiple machines like your office laptop, your server, and things like that, so you can put a title just to identify what this key belongs to, so that you have an idea. Okay, after seeing the key, you will not have an idea. See, it's really hard to see this key and identify what this key belongs to. So that's what the title and key means. Click on add SSH key. Okay, so it will add the SSH key to the GitHub. Now we are good to go ahead. See, if I show you over here, inside the .ssh directory. This is our public key, and whenever the authentication happens, this is our private key. Okay, so the private key contacts to our public key, and public key verifies this is our private key, and the authentication happens. This is the secure and authentication that happens, and this can't be really like there won't be any security issues between this, because it's a 256-bit encryption that's there, right? So it's really secure. Now once you have done this, go back to your repositories. Okay, so we are here that we initially created. Now very first thing is, whenever you have created a repository, you can clone the repository. Now what is cloning a repository means is, see, I can copy this one. You see there are two options. One is https. Okay, this one. If I use this, then every time I push or pull from the GitHub, I will have to provide my username and password. Okay, or I can use this SSH option. Okay, and then I will be able to use my keys. So let me show you how you can clone a repository. Very first time that you work on a repository, so let's not work over here. This is our automation. Let's go to the temp directory. Okay, so very first time that you have to work on a remote repository, this is when you actually initially join an organization. You can clone the repository. Okay, so you can run something like git clone and the endpoint. So this is how you clone a repository. You can run this. So it says cloning into automation-lab. Okay, it asking for the fingerprint first time to establish the SSH authentication. Just press yes, and you see it created an empty repository. So if I run ls-ltr this time, you will see it has created the repository automation-lab. Okay, now what we can do is we can go back. Okay, and there is a concept of origin. Now what is origin? Origin is basically the address where we are going to contact with our remote repository. Okay, it basically tells that where we should push our code, where our remote repository lies, what is the origin of our repository. Okay, so you can directly create a remote origin. Once you add the remote origin, okay, you can push to that origin. So what how to check the remote? You can run the command git remote -v. Okay, if I run this command, you will see that there is no origin remote right now that has been set. Okay, so what I can do is git remote add, okay, this one. Okay, this command I'm talking about, you can directly set the origin as this repository. I will just copy this command. Okay, so we are basically adding an origin, and this is this and this is same SSH. Okay, so we can run git remote add origin ori okay, git remote add origin, and the command that we initially use for cloning our repository. Okay, so once we do this, okay, and run the git remote -v command again, then you will see the origin is being set now. So our origin has been set. Okay, so what we can do is we can run the command git push origin, to which origin we want to push our code to, and the master branch. So what it will do is, whatever we have done till here, it's going to push everything inside this remote origin. Okay, so we are pushing our code to the master branch. So git pushes from our master branch to the remote origin master branch. Okay, so what we can do is we can refresh this page, and you see all the files that we have created: the index.html file, readme.txt file, gitignore file. everything is here. Okay, so here is the content for the readme.txt file. Okay, similarly you can click on the index.html file, the index.html code is there, and you can click on the git ignore file, and the git ignore content is there, star.class. Another thing, you can check out all the commits, everything that we have done on our VM. So you can click on the commits, it will show you the commits that has been done. Okay, then it also shows you the time period for those commits. You can click on the commits to check even more details. Okay, so once we click on the commit, it shows us the file which was modified, what content was edited. Okay, commit ID, and branch on which the commit was made. Okay, all the things like that. And here you can also see the branches which are there. So there is only one branch, master. Then all the contributors are the people who are allowed to commit the code. So we are only having one contributor right now. Okay, that is me, obviously, which is committing inside this repository. So this is how you can push your code to the remote origin. Okay, everyone clear till here? Anyone having any doubts? Anyone having any doubts still here? Let me know. Okay, so what is the difference between the master and origin? Pratik, master belongs to your branch. That's a branch which Git creates by default. So master will be created by default for you. Okay, and origin means master refers to a branch. Basically, origin is your remote repository URL. So see, we are using GitHub, but it could be your own repository or your Bitbucket repository. So you need to tell the Git, there are multiple open source repositories out there. Okay, you can use anyone. It's not only specific to GitHub. GitHub is famous, that's why we are using the origin as GitHub. Okay, so you need to tell Git which origin you want to use to push your code. So we need, that's what origin means. Okay, the remote repository. Abhilash is saying create new repository in GUI. Yeah, Abhilash, so whenever you work on the GitHub, you will have to create a repository first. Okay, then only you can push inside that repository like that. Okay, can we add multiple origins? No, Manoj. Every Git, see, what we can do is we can add a origin, then remove that origin through git remote rm command. Okay, that will remove the origin, or and but then you can only add the new origin simultaneously. Two origins can't work. Okay, because it's like saying that we want to put our code in two places. That's not possible. Okay, so you can add at a time only one origin, but it's possible that you delete an origin and create a new origin. Okay, so you can create a new repository, Abhilash. Okay, I have copied the commands over here. That's not an issue, should not be an issue. Guys, let me do one thing. I will commit this and provide you the URL. So anyone who wants to directly copy this, they can visit this URL and download this file, notepad file that we just created. Okay, Okay. Is it possible to keep the same notepad file having all the commands in today's training session? Nikunj, what happens is normally the commands that we are providing you, okay, this will change for me as well as for you. Like I have provided my repository, okay, it will change for your repository, and then you need to really understand the commands how we are running. Okay, so creating it in like earlier, it's not possible. Can we have different origin for push and fetch? No, Vivek, once you have set up the origin, push and fetch automatically sets to that origin. So you are always going to fetch and push to the same origin, otherwise there would be conflicts. Okay, that's why logically also you should have only one push and fetch. Okay. How to create a new repository? You can just click on this one. See, once you go back to your repositories, okay, there is a new over here. Just click on this new and it will create you a new repository. Abhilash. Janish, there can be more commands. See, we haven't created the branches till now. Okay, so there will be more commands. It's a command line tool. So you have like lots and lots of command inside the Git. This is not all the commands. There are many more commands, but we don't need them because these are all the commands which a DevOps person needs to know. Okay, there can be much more complex commands out there for the developers because they have to maintain their code, which is very complex thing to manage overall, right? uh, because the sheer amount of how it has to work. But for the from the DevOps perspective, this is all whatever we are covering. That should be the all. Uh, Tulasiram, if you are getting a permission denied error, then you should check your key. Okay, somehow your key is not able to authenticate it. Okay, all right. Let's move ahead. Okay, let's see what all things we can do inside from the GitHub. Okay, just delete the repository. Pratik, you can delete the repository and create a new one. That's possible if you want to delete everything. All right, guys, we are inside the repository. Okay, sorry, not this one, another one. You can have as many repositories as you like. Okay, inside the GitHub. Another thing, we can directly add a file inside the GitHub repository. Although you should not do it, this is not a good practice, but GitHub allows you to create the repository. So what you can do is you can click on create new file, okay, and add a file over here. So you can say something like remote file, just to let you know this is a remote file that we created, and put the content. Okay, and then you have to provide a commit message, okay, and commit the file. So you see, GitHub allows you to add through a GUI, though this is not a good way of working, but certainly you can do this as well. Okay, now at this point you will see that the code between our origin, okay, see, origin is GitHub, and our uh, machine on which we are working, that's a local repository. So what we can do is the code over our origin has changed, but in our local repository, if you see, we are still having the old code. Okay, we are not having this uh, remote file inside our branch. Okay, so what we can do is we can pull from the origin. So first of all, you can run git fetch origin, so it will bring everything in the same state. Okay, if there is some branch or etc. And then what you can do is you can do git pull origin master. So what you are doing is you are pulling the latest code from the master branch. Okay, so you see it says when I pull this, it creates one remote file, because that remote file was created over the GitHub. It was not inside our local repository. So if you do remote file, cat remote file, you will see the remote file is present on our VM as well now. Okay. All right. So you can, once you have done that, you can directly pull the code into your over here as well. Okay. So let's say git pull origin master. Now what I will do is I will copy all these commands for you. So if anyone wants to download it, you can download it. Okay. Let me create git commands. Okay. And so here are all the commands we have run till now. I think it has created multiple copies. So just a second. Okay, here are all the commands for you. Let's save this. I will add it. Okay, push it to the master. So anyone who wants to download it, you can download it from here, this repository. Okay, if I open this, here are all the commands. Let me share the URL in the chat window below. So in case you want to download all the commands, okay, you can download it here. Okay. All right. The very last thing that I wanted to show you is how to create a branch, and then how to, navigate through the branches like that. Okay. So what you can do is, for if I go back to my VM right now, if I run a git branch command, you will see that you are working on a master branch. So for creating a new branch, we can do git branch, and we can say new feature that we want to add. So we are creating a branch called new feature. Okay. So if I run the git branch command again, you will see there is a master branch and a new feature branch. Now what I can do is I can check out the new feature branch. Okay. So if you want to move between the branches, you will use the checkout command. Sorry, this is not feature, this is new feature. Okay, so you see it says switch to new feature branch, And if I run the git branch command this time, you will see I'm on new feature branch. How do I know I'm on new feature branch? Using this star symbol that is there. Okay, it shows us which branch we are right now working on. Another way, there's one more way. Let me come back to the master branch. Okay, see what happened. We use two commands, that is git branch and git checkout. If you want to do this in a single command, then it's also possible. So you can say git checkout, okay, hyphen b is for branch. If the branch is there, it will move it on those branch. If the branch is not there, it will create that branch. So we can say something like feature, and if I run the git branch command now, you will see that I am on the feature branch. So you can achieve this in one command as well. Okay, now let's check out the new feature. Let's say we are introducing some new feature in our code. Okay, so we are right now on new feature branch. Okay, so what we can do is we can create a new feature .txt file and say this is the new feature in our code, something like that. So we can create this new feature, okay, in our code, and I can run git status. I can add this to the staging area and move this to the local repository. Added the new feature in our code. Okay. All right. So at this point, you will see that we have created this file, but this is on my new feature branch. Okay. If I go inside my master branch, then this will not be there. Okay. So what we can do is now we can similarly push this code onto the new feature branch on remote repository. That is inside the GitHub, we push it to the new feature branch. So I can say git push origin. I'm not saying master this time. Rather, I'm saying push it to the new feature branch. So press enter. So what it will do is it will push this into the new feature branch. So if I open my GitHub, okay, and go to the automation labs, so you will see here is a new feature branch. Okay, you can click on the branches. You are seeing a new feature branch. Okay, now the code is on our new feature. Okay, we are working on it in isolation. So if you will see here, you will see the new feature.txt is there. Okay, all the previous code plus the new code, that is new feature.txt, is on this branch. Now, but this is not on our master branch. If I open a master branch, you will not see the new feature is not there. Okay, now because the new feature is not there, so what we can do is we will have to merge this new feature branch into the master branch, so that all the code which is in our new feature branch also available on our master branch. For that, you always do this inside the GitHub or your remote repository. That's the best practice. You shouldn't do it on local, though you can do it on local as well, but you shouldn't do it. I will show you how to do it on local, but for now, first of all, let's understand how we can merge the branches inside our remote repository. So you can go to the new feature branch, click on new pull request, create a pull request. What is a pull request? Pull request is basically you are saying that I want to merge my branch into the master branch, which is our production branch. Okay, and then you will provide a comment what this pull is all about. So we are saying that we added a new feature in our code and we want to merge that into our production branch. We have tested everything and everything is working fine now. So you can create a pull request like that. Okay, and it will check for some conflicts and etc. That's not there. Now it's showing that one file has been changed in this pull. Okay, so you can click on this file change, and it says it will show you the content now of that file. So what we can say is, now someone from your team should review this, okay, the code that you have done, and if they found it some issue is there, so they can click on this plus sign and add a comment. Okay, the code looks fine, just add a full stop after it. See, it's just a comment to say that something is missing in the code. Okay, here we are saying that try to add a full stop. Like this is a very simple thing, but obviously if you find something is missing in your code, let's say your variable is not properly defined or not initialized, or it's not returning a value, or the attribute hasn't been properly defined, something like that. If you find some issue, okay, or if you are finding some issue in your configuration, like you haven't specified the engine export number, or you haven't provided the absolute path, or you should use the relative path, okay, then you can put on the comments like that. Okay, and at this point the reviewer, like who has created the pull, will see this, and if he finds it like we should make the change, then he should edit the file like this. Okay, and should correct it whatever there is in the comment. Okay, and should republish the change like we are doing. I have done this very simple just for your understanding. I will push this again. Okay, after correcting it. So you will see that the changes is reflected now. If I refresh this automatically, the pull request would reflect the changes. So you see a dot is there. Okay, so now it looks good. Okay, so what we can do is we can click on review changes, and we can approve the changes, or so it's right now showing us for the review. Okay, so what we will have to do is we will go back to this pull request. Here is the pull request. Okay, you can go inside the pull request, and you can provide the review. Looks good. Okay, once you have reviewed, submit the review. Once you have done this, okay, the code looks good. Okay, so you can merge this pull request. Now once you merge this pull request, confirm merge. Okay, it will merge both the branches. So you see the pull request has successfully merged and closed. What does this mean is that the code should now be available on your master branch. Now you can go back to the automation lab. Okay, go inside your master branch, and you will see the new feature.txt starts to appear here. Okay, this is the exact workflow how we do it in our organizations. Okay, so any organization that you work, you will create a pull request on your branch, then open a pull request, someone will review it, and then they will merge, and then the code will become live, okay, into the master. Now same thing you can do it on your local branch as well, though you shouldn't do it over there, but it's fine, you can do it there as well. Right now if you will see that I am on my new feature branch, so what I will need to do is I will need to go to my master branch. Okay, and then I'm on my master branch now. If you will see, I'm on my master branch. So what I will have to do, if I want to merge, then I will have to merge, git merge, use the git merge command, and the branch that I want to merge. So let's say I want to merge new feature branch. Okay, now this command is saying that merge this on my current branch. You can even say like this. Okay, both means same. So what it's saying is merge the source branch, the branch that we want to merge. We want to merge the new feature branch onto our current branch, which is master. Okay, so let's run this. So you will see that it has merged now, and if I do an ls-ltr here, you will see the new feature.txt branch is there. Okay, on my master branch. Okay, so this is how you can do the merging of the branches. Now you can delete a branch. Let's say I don't need this feature branch anymore, so I can delete the branch using -d option. Okay, delete feature. So what it will do is it will delete the feature branch. Okay, another thing that I wanted to show you is how the conflicts can come and how you can resolve the conflicts. Okay, so let's open a file. Okay, and let's directly modify the readme.txt file. So we can think of it like someone else from our team has modified the readme.txt file. Okay, so we can change the content, modified the file. Okay, now this content is modified by someone else. Okay, so you will see that someone else has modified it. Somehow we haven't taken the pull. Okay, and we also modify the same file. So let's modify it on our branch. Okay, let's modify it on the new feature branch so that we see how the conflict looks like there. So let's go to the new feature branch. Okay, we will do git checkout new feature. Okay, and let's added the readme.txt file, and let's edit this third line. Okay, so we can say or just a second guys, let's take a pull first. Okay, now let's make a change. Let's change, first of all let's go back, because we right now done the change on the master branch directly. Let's take a new feature branch. Okay, here is our new feature branch. Let's push this. Let's bring both the branches to the same point. Okay, so what we are doing is we are just pushing everything that is on our local inside the remote. So both are same now. If you will see, both the branches are right now same. Okay, our new feature branch on the local as well as on the remote. Okay, so if I open this readme.txt file, you will see the same content is here. So what I can do is change this file to reflect conflict. Okay, so you can say that someone else modified this file. Okay, and now we don't know that someone else has modified this file. Okay, and the problem is that someone else has modified this file already. Okay, and they have pushed it. So if we also modify the same file on our local, okay, like we also modified this. Okay, let's add this and commit this. Okay, now what happens? The origin file has already been changed, okay, and we also have changed the file, okay, on our local. So if I try to push this onto my remote origin, I will receive a conflict. Why? Because the conflict origin has already changed, but I didn't take a pull, and then issue is coming on my. It will not allow me to push the file. So I can do git push origin new feature. Okay, as soon as I run this, it will show me a conflict. You see? So someone else was pushing it. So if I try to take a pull origin new feature, you will see that it will result in a conflict. Normally conflicts look like this. You see, here is a conflict which occurs. Okay. So what it's trying to say to us is that someone else modified the content. You are not having their content, due to which the conflict has arisen. So what I can do is, the conflict is coming on readme.txt. Okay, I know that. So I can go to the readme.txt file, and here you see it's showing me the conflict, what the conflict is about. Okay, so what it says is that we are having this file on our local, and this is on the remote. Okay, so we have to resolve this conflict if we want to push our code. So what we can do is remove this line, okay, delete this, and then you will have to actually adjust it. Our remote is right now having this file. Okay, so we will uh, what we will do is we will copy our code, okay, paste it after this, because this is already on the remote, so we can't actually do without keeping the remote content. Okay, let's keep this, delete this one and this one. Okay, so now what's happening, we have actually put the content of the remote on our local file, okay, and then edited our local file. Now we can save this, create our commit, so we can run the git status, and we can say git add readme.txt and commit this file, and then we can push it. So you will see this will allow me to push the file now without any conflict. You see, so conflicts is very common in nature. Once multiple people work on the same file, git will track those conflicts, and you will see these conflicts like this, and then you can resolve those conflicts as well. Okay, Bala, if you have deleted a branch by mistake or anyhow, if it has been deleted from origin, then you can't get it back. Okay, so you need to be very cautious while deleting a branch from remote. If you have deleted it locally, then you can pull from the origin, that's fine. Niteshri, fetch command brings, like if you have created some remote branch which is not on your local, then fetch command will create it on your local as well. But git pull command will pull all the remote content to your local repository. Okay, that's the difference between the two. Git fetch fetches all the changes but not the code. Git pull pulls the code as well from the branch. Okay, last thing that I wanted to show you is a git stash command. Okay, let's say we were working on some feature. Let's create a number of files, so we can say file 1, file 2, file 3. So if I run git status now, okay, it shows me file 1, file 2, file 3 is there. I can add file 1, file 2, file 3 to the staging area. Okay, so there is 3 files in the staging area, but what happens is uh, now this project is scrapped Okay, or let's say this project is delayed for some period of time. So what we can do is we can create a stash at this point. See, it will not allow us to move anywhere. It will keep showing us this thing. So what we can do is we can do git stash save, and we can say creating a initial stash. Okay, so what it does is it says that the head is now at this, and it has created a stash, initial stash. And if I run the git status now, I will not see anything related to those files. Okay, if I wanted to list the stash, I can do git stash list. It will show me all the stash which are there. So it says there is one stash. Okay, this is the stash which has been created. Now, if I want to get all the files back, then I can run the command git stash pop. Okay, it will bring back all the files. Let's say if I don't want this, okay, so I will again run the git stash command. So it will stash back. Okay, if I run the git status, it's no longer there. If I run git stash list, see the stash back. And at this point, if the project is scrapped and we no longer want to work on that, so what we can do is we can clear this stash. Okay, clear will drop the stash. Okay, so we can run git stash clear. It will delete the stash. So if I run the git stash list, you will not see any stashes there. So it has deleted those files now permanently. This is how you can temporarily remove the files if you are not working on them. Okay. All right. So that completes our git. Let me take the questions. Anyone having any questions, please let me know. Vishal is saying, I guess this conflict will if we are working on our local repositories and it is not being updated to GitHub directly by someone else. Yeah, so Vishal, normally what happens is some of your teammates might have changed the file before you were done editing your code. Okay, then your code will become old and there will become new, and you are not having their code. That's why Git will raise a conflict. So you should always take a pull from the remote origin and then start your work on it. Okay, and if you get into a conflict, then it's not a very big thing. You should resolve those conflicts like we did. Okay. Anyone else having any question here regarding the Git? Because the Git is completed now. Okay. We are going to start the Docker now. Okay. So anyone having any questions, let me know. Nupur, what you are not able to install? CentOS 7.5 you are saying? Why you are not able to install the Git? Did you run git yum install Git? Did you run this command? So what error did it give to you? The repository ones, that's because the repository is like the yum is not working in your case. The yum file, okay, the repo file has been corrupted. I asked you to create a new repository. Did you created a new VM 7.5? Okay, and can you show me the output now? Yeah, Tulsiram, let me provide you the command. Here is all the commands. Okay. So what I can do is I can directly copy and paste this for you. You can go to the and then copy it out from there. Here it is. Okay, so let me copy this into the file. You can directly go to the link that I shared with you and download all the commands from there. Okay, and okay, done editing. You can download it. Nupur, can you run this command? Not sorry, not this one. I believe it's this one. Cat etc red hat release. Sorry, just this command. Can you run this? Cat etc cat slash etc slash red hat hyphen release. Can you run this command, please? Just run and share me the output here. Nupur, you have to run this one. Paste the complete output along with the command. All right. Uh, Now, can you run this? See, simply run this command. Look here. It's adding HTTP automatically. Just run curl google.com. Can you share the output? Yes. Don't put that HTTP colon slash slash. Kunal, which link you are visiting? It's here inside my repository. Nupur, just remove HTTP colon slash slash. Just run curl google.com. That's it. Don't use this HTTP. And if it's not able to resolve your host, this means your internet is not working on your virtual machine. You have to look into that. Okay. Your internet might not be working because, see, your internet, you are saying it's working. Can you show me the output of curl google.com command? It's saying not able, not resolve host. That's an like issue with your internet. The error that you just pinged me. Can you please show me again, like what you are getting? And Kunal, what error you are getting while opening this URL? For me, it's opening in the browser. What error are you getting in this URL? Kunal, the git commands that I have shared you, what error you are getting? Nupur, is it working or not? Can you please share me the output of curl command? Just refresh it. Okay, Kunal, so what you have to do is, once you are here, okay, click on Automation Lab, okay, then go inside the Git commands again, and then you will see all the commands over there. What it's showing you is an old commit that we have done. That's why it's not showing you all the command, okay? Yeah, and please check that branch as well. You need to go inside the new feature branch. Vishal has pointed out that you are right, Vishal. You will have to be on the new feature branch. Let me merge this branch so that there is no confusion out there. So it's all the commands are there. Okay. Guys, let's take a break of 10 minutes, okay? And once we are back, then we can uh, have a look at that, okay? Till the time I will help the Nupur to resolve it, okay? So just take a break of 10 minutes and we will be back. We will start with the Docker then. It's 10:25 in my watch. Be back by 10:35, okay? And we are going to start with the Docker then. Nupur, can you provide me the output of if up at 0, the command? Just take a sudo like this and run if up at 0. Run this command and show me the output, what output you are getting. Nupur, you there? Okay. And then can you run this command if config? Show me the output of if config. What's exactly the output of if config you are getting? Okay, can you run this wget google.com? Run this command. Yeah, etcresolve.conf looks like this. Somehow your name servers are not working correctly, so it's not able to resolve the URL. That's internet related issue. Okay, you need to make sure that this is working in your configuration. It's wcat google.com. Just run this. Remove this HTTP. I'm not sure why it adds automatically. Remove this. Okay. Just run wcat and google.com. Don't use HTTP colon colon slash slash. Is it working? Nupur, is it working for you? Can you please paste the output? Okay, do one thing. Do systemctl status network like this. Can you run this command also? So it's able to connect to the google.com, right? Can you try running yum install git again and send me the output what it's doing? Run yum install git. Nupur, can you share the output? There, Nupur? Yeah, just press yes. Okay, and it will install the dependency. Just press yes now. Did you press yes, Nupur? Why? See, don't worry about the errors. It will try the new mirrors and it will install it. Okay. Just let me know if it's able to install the Git or not. Don't worry about these errors. Yeah, so it's installing the dependencies, right? So if it's able to install the dependencies, your Git will be installed. Okay. All right. Seems there is some issue with your Yum configuration. So what you can do is just wait. Go to this file etc yum. Okay, and check out this base URL. Okay, this one. Is it exactly the same or there is some issue? Can you please verify this URL? This is the command that I have run. Okay. All right. Nupur, seems your repository is having issue. Okay. So you will need to check your repository. Let's continue on this after the session. Okay. I will see your screen and then you can run the commands. Okay. For now, let's continue with our session. All right. Nupur, do one thing. We will troubleshoot after 11. Okay. Let's start with the Docker for now. Okay. Because Everyone else is also there. So let's troubleshoot it after 11 a.m. The issue that you are having. Okay. All right. So let's start with the Docker now. Okay. So anyone want to give it a try? Like, can you tell me what Docker is? What is Docker? Just some of you might have heard about the Docker, the containers. What exactly it is? Why do we use Docker? Anyone? Running the microservices. That's right, Shailesh. Your Docker is extensively used for running the microservices. Anyone else? It's kind of hypervisor which will help to run microservices. I heard about it when discussing about the headless browser testing. Okay. Anyone else wants to give a try to Docker? Guys, whatever be it, like you have heard somewhere or anything that you know about Docker, you can give it a try. All right, so let me brief you about what Docker is. Okay. Rishi says we use Docker containers instead of virtual machines for package. Yeah, so that's right. So you can package everything inside the Docker containers. Okay. And it is a containerization platform. A couple, that's correct. It's a containerization platform. All right, so let's discuss what the containers means and what is Docker. So before starting with the Docker, you need to understand what is the container, okay? Why we use the container, okay? And then what exactly the Docker is, okay? So in a very layman terms, let's first try to understand what exactly be the problem is, how the containers got evolved over a period of time, how this one word container came into picture. Okay, so if you will see that in the real world we have to ship the products. Okay, products can be anything. It can be your electronic items, your clothes, your cars, or anything that we want to ship. Okay, from one location to another location. Okay, we have to how do we ship our goods from one place to another? So normally what happens is uh, all these goods, let's say there is a goods being traded between Asia Pacific region and the US region. Okay, so now what happens is if you want to ship between the different countries or continents, so what there are like this huge ships are there. Okay, and then all the goods are loaded inside those ships and it is being sent from one country to another country. Okay, now if you will see this, the problem is that all these goods are like there can be different types of goods. Okay, so if let's talk about the clothes, so the problem with the clothes is that they might lose out. Okay, you might lost some of your clothes if you directly try to ship from one country to another. And then the logistics is very rough. That is, you handle the goods without like much care, so your electronic items might get damaged during the transit from one country to another. The transit phase is where you are actually transporting your goods from one place to another. Okay, so during that time it's possible that, let's say, you ask for a laptop to be shipped from US to India. Okay, now during the shipping part, that laptop gets break, so it's not of any use to it, right? It's not of any use to you, so because it's broken down and it doesn't hold any value. So the logistics was a very great issue, and normally this didn't allow, like, the packaging has to be done very in a sophisticated way so that it doesn't get break. Then if something breaks, then insurance was there and things like that, so it became a very complex thing, and the movement of the goods was not very easy between the different countries. So what happened was that lately the containers was introduced. What this container was, it was a huge container which was being created out of iron. Okay, and that basically used to be a compartment where it doesn't matter what type of goods you have to send from one country to another country. You will just stuff everything inside that large containers, and those containers were of a definite shape and size. Okay, or it was well defined, so it allowed the companies to create the instruments to, just measure those, easily move those containers from one location to another. Now what happens is, whenever anyone has to ship any goods, they will put everything inside that container, seal that container. Okay, now the container is sealed, so it now the companies can put on the cranes and everything inside the shipyards, so that these containers can easily be put on the ships, move from one location to another, and things like that. So everything got standardized, right? Now you can put any of the product inside it, but the companies has to deal with the containers only, so they can create specific instruments for that. And it's very like, it's it is having this huge density of iron outside, so goods inside the containers won't get damaged. Okay, and then you can easily put on the ship, offload it from the ship, put in trucks, and then directly send it to the location. At the location, when it reaches, you will unseal it and then take out your goods from that container and use it, right? So this actually created very robust mechanism, and you will see that all the logistics is being done in this way only. Okay, now same logic, okay, what we have in the real world was also applied to the applications. So what happens in case of applications, you will see that there are binaries and libraries which are used for any application code to run. So you will see that normally libraries are there, then you have to include that inside your code, and then you can directly refer to those libraries to make your application run. Okay, the problem was that whenever you have to shift from one environment to another, let's say from first it will be run on the local laptop of the developer, then it will go to the developers and development environment, then it will go to staging environment, pre-production, and then to production. So you see there were like multiple environments where the code has to be shipped. Okay, and then all these dependencies, then there are various binaries, libraries which has to be managed for those code, and everything should be there, and then your code is there, and then you will have to build it and run it. So the problem was, if you missed any of the library, you forgot to install some library, then your code will not work and you will start getting the error. The things become more complex when you have different versions, and there are different versions of binaries to be managed. If it's a very large project, then it will be even more complex. So at this point, it was like everything was being shipped, it was put inside this Maven projects, and then you will assume that this things gets compiled and didn't result it in any error, and things works like it was the old way of running the application. And sometimes it runs well, sometimes it doesn't, and then you will see the complaints like the code is working on my local laptop but it's not working in the in your server. So this type of complaints was very common from the developers to the operations people, and then it becomes very complex to manage it, because people used to get frustrated that it's running fine on their laptop but it's not running in production. Why? Because there was some different binary being used, or binary was missed, or the library was missed, and the code is not running as it should have, and it's creating bugs which are very hard to troubleshoot and causing the issue. So then the containers came into picture, and now as the real world containers, okay, these containers allowed, specifically we are talking about the Docker container. Okay, why we are talking about Docker container? Because Docker container was created from a point of view with the application in its like the application being the core to the Docker containers. So what happened is that everything was removed from the container, like all the binaries and dependencies of the operating system was removed. A bare minimum of the binaries and dependencies were kept just to make sure that version of the operating system is running. It's not the complete operating system. A very less amount of binaries which are there to make an operating system work. So if you will see that a CentOS image that we were using, it is of like around 3 GB to 3.5 GB. Okay, why? Because it's having all these binaries, operating system binaries to run. Okay, so that all was removed. Okay, and if you see a Docker image of CentOS, that's hardly like 95 MB. Okay, now everything was removed, only a bare minimum of operating system dependencies were there, and then you can build your application whatever dependencies you want. You can put everything inside that Docker container. Okay, and once you put all the binaries, your libraries inside that Docker container, okay, and put your code, compile your code, and your application is working. So think of it like as a real world container where you have put whatever things that you want to shift from one environment to another, that is your application, inside that container. It's very lightweight because now it doesn't have to deal with such a big libraries of operating system. We don't need it. We want to run our application, we don't want to run the operating system, right? So it allowed us to put everything inside the containers, and then now once this container has been created and our application is inside that container, we can seal the container, right? We can close this container, and now container is ready. So wherever we want to run our application, we can just ship that container to that location. Okay, like we can ship the container to our development environments, to our production environments, to the developer's laptop. We can run the containers anywhere. Okay, in cloud, on premise data center, anywhere. Why? Because that container is holding everything, and then once we run that container, we can take out the application and run everything on that container. Okay, this is what the Docker containers brought to us. Okay, and this made the application packaging really easy. Now we don't need to worry about the compilation, how to keep the binaries, which all libraries we have to keep, and everything like that. Instead, we can just package everything inside this Docker containers and then ship these containers. Now it's really easy. You don't have to focus on how to install the thing, how to get it configured, and then making them work. See, everything is inside the container. You just have to worry how to deploy the containers, how to move the containers from one location to another. That's it. You don't have to worry about the application and the code configuration, compilation. Everything is already been there. Okay, that's what the Docker containers have facilitated. Now there are numerous advantages of using the Docker containers. The very well advantages, first advantage is that you don't have to compile the code and worry about the libraries and dependencies. Everything is inside the Docker container. Okay, so you can ship the container, start the container, and that's it. Your application will be running. Okay, no more configuration of application or no more downloading of the libraries is required. Everything is inside the container. So you just need to bring up the container, and that's it. Everything is up and running. Another thing is Docker containers are usually very small in size. Okay,
काम किया था
so
मैं जो
it's really easy to ship these containers from one environment to
इनपुट भी
another.
नहीं दिया
See, previously you will see that the virtual machines were very big in size. Okay, so it takes time to bring up that virtual machine up and running. But if you see the container, they are very small in size, like 150 MB, 200 MB, like that. Okay, so it's really easy to ship the containers and run it anywhere. It will run everywhere as in the same way. Like you can have the CentOS machine or Ubuntu machine, Windows, Mac OS X, anything running, but then you can directly deploy the containers on them. The only dependency of the container is that you should have a Docker engine running. Okay, Docker engine is basically your Docker daemon, which is running in the backend and providing you the virtualization. So you have this Docker engine running and you deploy the Docker containers over that Docker engine, and then everything is up and running. Okay, so that's what the advantage of the Docker is. Is it clear to everyone what is Docker and why the Docker containers are being used? Okay, so Janesh is having a question. So Docker are used to create exact replica of different environments. Yes, so Janesh, you can create a Docker container and then you can create n number of environments according to your requirement. The advantage, another advantage is that if you will see, like normally it doesn't deal with bringing up the hypervisor and all those sort of things. Rather, you can directly deploy a container and start the container. It will just come up in matter of like 5 seconds or so. So your it allowed to scale out the application easily. Okay, and uh, everything seems to work really easy. Okay, and you can easily create the different environments, run your application wherever you want. Okay, so everyone clear about what is Docker containers? All right, so let's start with our slide now. Okay, so very first thing is the containers work in the virtualization technology. Okay, now there are two important things that we have learned till now. Okay, that is we can put everything inside the containers and run our application anywhere. Okay, now the containers allows you to limit down the resources that you want to use. Okay, so we can limit down our resources, like how much RAM we want to allocate to a container. Let's say our server is of 16 GB. Okay, and we are deploying a container of that we want that it should not use any more than 2 GB of RAM. So we can create, we can restrict our containers to 2 GB RAM and to a like certain amount of CPU utilization. Okay, this will allow us to create at least 8 containers on our virtual machine of 2 GB. Okay, so it allows us to run multiple application containers onto the same VM in isolation. That is, those containers will not interact with each other, and this is made possible using the Linux kernel. So within the Linux kernel, you will see there are two things. First one is C groups, another one is namespace. Okay, so the C groups is a functionality of the Linux kernel. Okay, this is not the functionality of Mac OS X kernel or Windows kernel. Okay, so if you want to see like the functionality which the Docker uses is of the Linux kernel. Now what it allows is that you can limit down how much memory, how much CPU your resource can use. Okay, so that what the C group is. So it allows us to put the limitations of how much memory or CPU we want to allocate. Another thing is Linux kernel normally allows this for some process. Docker has used this to because Docker also run as a process. So it has used this functionality of the Linux kernel to limit down how much memory or CPU we can allocate to a container. Okay. At the same time, there is one more functionality called namespace in the Linux kernel. That namespace to allows the Linux kernel to receive the signals from a specified disk. Okay, now we can think of it like we are having a 100 GB disk, but then we have allocated a certain part of the disk to certain process, and then all the signals that is being received from that uh, disk, okay, will be treated as a different signals, like from the rest of the operating system it would be different. Okay, and so Linux kernel will keep it in isolation. That is how you will see that each Docker container that we have deployed is different from other. Okay, this will become more clear to you when I will explain you with the help of some diagrams. Okay, but let's continue the Docker tomorrow. Okay, then it will become more clear to you how the containers work. For now, just understand that all the binaries, libraries our application needs, we will put it inside the containers and then run those containers anywhere, and it should run. Another thing is we can put the limitations on the container, like how much RAM or CPU a container can use. So that is possible through the C groups functionality of the Linux kernel. Then we can allocate a disk, so all the signals that are generated inside the container would be limited to that container, and no user on the of the operating system can see what exactly is in our container. So whatever is inside the container, you can only access it from the container, like when you go into that namespace. Okay, so it allows us to create the containers which are limited to themselves, so they can isolate, they can you can deploy multiple containers on a virtual machine. Now this allows, see, there is an additional advantage of running the multiple containers. See, it's possible that your application which is deployed onto a virtual machine is not utilizing the complete virtual machine. Let's say there is a financial application, and only certain users comes during a certain amount of time. Okay, so all the transactions happens at that time. So during the night time our VMs are running idly, right? And there is another application which requires to scale up, so our VM is lying idle, so our CPU is getting wasted, right? But we don't have any way of utilizing it. So Docker containers allows you to deploy the containers if it's having additional resources and utilize it. So each machine CPU would be completely utilized. Okay, so you are not wasting the resources. That's another advantage of running the Docker containers. And you will see that we can run the containers in the cloud or anywhere that we like. Okay, so that was all for today. Okay, we are going to cover the containers in more detail tomorrow. No, Bala, we are not having the lab. First of all, we are going to understand how the Docker container works, how what is the architecture of the Docker container, how we can deploy the applications. Then there are like lot of Docker commands that you need to go through, how to automatically create the containers, how to create container images, deploy images, containers. Then we will also see how we can make multiple containers work simultaneously, like that. Okay, so first of all, no lab for tomorrow. Okay, we are just going to understand the Docker, how everything works, and then we will have a lab for the Docker, how we can, you know, do it practically. Now, lab part, the practical part of the Docker is really easy. Let me tell you that it's not uh, that much complex. You are having certain amount of commands that you can run. Okay, the problem is what happens in the background is much more complex, so you really need to understand how the things are working in the backend, because only once you have an understanding of the how the things are working in the backend, then you will be able to relate what's happening in the backend. Otherwise you will it will be very difficult for you when you get into the issues. Okay, like memory leakage or your container going down, container not starting, what's happening in the backend, it will become very complex to you. All right, anyone else having any issue? Any questions still here? Anyone want to ask? All right, so everyone, thanks for attending the today's session. That's all for today that we are having. Okay, I will see you all tomorrow. Nupur, I will troubleshoot that problem with you now. Okay, just wait for a few minutes. Okay, so tomorrow we will continue with our session on Docker and most probably complete with the Docker session tomorrow. Okay, then we are going to perform the Docker lab. All right, thanks everyone for attending the today's session, and you can leave now. Okay, uh, I will quickly share the screen with the Nupur so that to troubleshoot the issue that she is having. Our session is over now. Okay, so you can end the session now. I will shortly end the session after some time once the issue with the Nupur's VM is resolved. Okay, thanks everyone. That's all for today. See you all tomorrow the same time. Okay. All right, Nupur, what I'm going to do is I'm going to create you a presenter. Okay, so your screen will be visible to me, and then I will type in the commands. You can execute those commands quickly on your VM. Okay, and we will see what issue you are facing. Uh, Another thing is, Nupur, you can give me the keyboard and mouse. Okay, so I have created you the presenter now. Just give me the keyboard and mouse options as well. If you will just click in front of my name, okay, the arrow option, you will see there is an give mouse and control option as well. Is it visible to you? It's not allowing me to type anything. Okay, Nupur, I'm just telling you the commands, just execute them. Okay, run this Google, curl google.com. All right, so your internet is working. Run yum clean all. Run this command yum clean all. You can drop the cache as well. Run that command rm minus rf var cache yum slash var. It's slash var. Okay. Now do yum install git. Press Y. Okay. So your git is installed now. Git hyphen hyphen version. So git is installed now. You can perform the lab. Okay. All right. Thanks everyone. That concludes our today's session. So I will see you all tomorrow. Okay.